Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome. I am Eric Hall, your success concierge, and today, February 27, 2025, coming up toward the end of Black History Month. It's just coincidental, just based on the case studies and things that we've been doing over here. But I want to thank you and welcome you again. I'm really excited about being here, getting ready for some exciting things to happen in the next couple weeks as it relates to my profession as an image consultant. We got a conference coming up on the other side of the world, so I'm very interested to be going there, learning, growing, and dealing with the best and the best of the industry, so I can continue to come here and bring value to you out there. So welcome and welcome again. And so, that's basically what I've been gearing up for. Just doing, staying abreast of what's going on in the industry as well as what's going on out here for you. And as always, you guys send me great questions, give me great feedback, give me great energy, great ideas, so that I can again bring you additional value to what we have going on as well too. So very excited about that. Very grateful as well for everyone to be here. So yeah, that's what we have going on. As I said, I'm Eric Hall, your success concierge, and what I help individuals do is maximize their outcomes by mastering the ABCDs of image. You never get a second chance to make a first impression, and when you don't make a good first impression, that means business is going elsewhere, opportunities is going elsewhere, and then people are going elsewhere. And we want to make sure they're coming and seeing you, and you put yourself in position to receive the best outcomes. So I just make it simple. You just reach out to me. We connect. We do something customized, personal to you. And then, of course, we definitely make sure we, track, monitor all those good things to make sure we're doing something feasible, doable, and workable for you as well as your business to help you get your desired outcomes. So let's talk about what the scent of the day is. Y'all have seen who our case study is on. And this person is a legend, but also too a bit of a ladies' man. So I kind of went with this beautiful fragrance like right here. I don't know if you can see that right there, but it is Frederick Malle Portrait of a Lady. This right here, this is definitely a growing and sexy fragrance. A high level of sophistication with this right here. So they tell you it's more feminine. Ladies, you can definitely wear this. This is perfect for date night. Borderline signature scent as well too. It may be a little bit too sexy or sophisticated for the office, but it's definitely a beautiful thing. Gentlemen, you can wear this as well too. But this is not t-shirt and jeans. This is more turtleneck, button up, casual, cool player type of vibe with that. Got a lot of my favorite notes: rose, amber, earthy patchouli. I mean, this scent is just beautiful. But that's not, y'all. This is what we wanted to come in and get into. We wanted to get into the topic at hand. Um, and you all see it on the screen. It's the recipe for greatness. All right. And so, as we see in life, we have people from the past or present who can be models for us. They can be models of inspiration. They can be lessons. This individual happens to be a bit of both. Models are people who have information, have outcomes, has things you want to copy, learn, and emulate. And then also too, it could be lessons of things that people have done that you may want to track, do a little bit of, or in some instances avoid. All right. And so, as you know, I always talk about the ABCDs of appearance, behavior, congruence. I mean, appearance, behavior, communication, digital footprint, and being in congruence with that, right? Because you want to be, because, my audience over here, they're individuals who want to be great. They don't want to be good. They want to be great at what they do. And how do you do that? You maximize these things, you be congruent, you put in work, you learn, you grow, but you do this consistently over a period of time. And so, when you do that over a period of time, you have great outcomes. You get some of your desired goals. Some people be like, oh well, this person just popped up overnight. Maybe they popped up overnight to you, but this person has been believing in themselves, going through adversity, putting in work, and that's how they got to this point today. And what better example than the individual there who was our case study for this evening? None other than not about being great, but being the greatest, the recipe for greatness. None other than Muhammad Ali. So we're gonna check, see what's going on here, and then we're gonna go ahead and jump right into this as well too. Also too, if you have questions, you can hit me up on Cash App. That's how you support the channel as well. But you can definitely send your questions there as well too. All right. So make sure when you come on in, you do hit the like button. And we're gonna go ahead and get started with our case study here. Let me pull this up here and check. make sure it is moving properly. Um, we'll do that. Yep, let's get that done there. Let's go into presentation mode. Let's see if it changes and goes back. Let's see here. Okay, great. So I am Eric Hall, your success concierge, and today we're doing our case study on Muhammad Ali, Recipe for Greatness. And so one thing I will say is this, as always, I try to be as accurate as possible. So any errors or whatnot that occur, that is not intentional, it's not meant to be malicious. Also, too, I know I talk about some of the things from a religious standpoint that he talked about. So if there's anyone who is of the faith or different than and there's errors or inaccuracies or things you want to dispute, again, take that with a grain of salt. This is no intent to be malicious or offensive to anyone of any of that nature. But we're going to go ahead and get started. I am Eric Hall, your success concierge, and today we're going to do our case study on Mr. Muhammad Ali, a recipe for greatness. So let's get started. So yeah, as you see right here, we got the living legend, Mr. Muhammad Ali, here. And then this is one of my favorite pictures, the picture of him training underwater. So I had to throw that in there. But we're going to take it back to the beginning. All right. So you know what I like to do. If I can find it, I'm going to have it. This is him as a young man here, born January 7th, 1942, Capricorn, that is, Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. So he was actually named after a 19th century Republican and staunch abolitionist Cassius Marcellus Clay. So his father had that name, and then he had it passed on to him as well too. Mother was Odessa O'Grady. And so his father, he painted billboards and signs. And so even one of the things that I found out, discovered is Muhammad Ali, as a young man, he got into the arts. His mother, she worked as a domestic helper, domestic capacity, and she always supported her son's boxing career as well as his spirituality. Cassius Sr. was a Methodist, but he allowed Dessa to bring Cassius Jr. and his son Rudolph, who later became Rahman, excuse me, as Baptist. So Muhammad was the oldest. He had two younger brothers. He tracked his ancestry, so he went back to pre-descended slaves in the South of English and Irish ancestry, and discovered he was a descendant of former slave Archer Alexander, and he was written about by abolitionist William Greenleaf Eliot, and the book was called "The Archer Alexander: From Slavery to Freedom." So that may be something I will check out in the future. But just interesting knowing his background, especially after we did the case study last time on Martin Luther King. So you can definitely check that out as well too. But even as a young man, he experienced some, racial incidents that influenced his life. Emmett Till, you see right here, there's him pictured there, as well as his mother. I will not show, well, just in the interest of this, I won't go into the other graphic details and photos about this, but both Till and Muhammad Ali, or Cassius Clay, at the time, they were the same age. And to see, what happened to him, the mutilation of his face, that really affected him. And so there was a photo of him, Till, as well as, smiling like this, as well as him after he was victimized. And so it really shook him up. And him and a friend, they took the frustration out by vandalizing the rail yard. And also, too, at one point, he was denied a drink of water. And they said they wouldn't give him one because he was a person of color, and that also affected. We'll talk about him after his Olympic adventure. But at 12 years old, someone stole his bike, and he wanted to go beat him up and fight him, right? And so he actually reported to the police officer, Joe Martin. And when he reported it, he said, okay, you want to fight them, go ahead and get into boxing, I can teach you. And so Martin saw, talent in Ali. He was actually featured on the TV show, a local television show called Tomorrow's Champions. But you see him up there with Ali in the ring, and also too, you see Ali as a young man boxing. All right, and so Ali, he started working out at Columbia Gym in Louisville, and then there was a gentleman, Fred Stoner, who actually taught him like his style, his stamina, his system. Boxing with grace, moving gracefully in the science of boxing, And then he made his amateur debut against Ronnie O'Keefe in 1954, and he won by split decision. And so, Ali had a lot of talent as a youth boxer. I mean, he won a lot. He had a lot of success. And so he won 6 Kentucky Golden Gloves. He won the AAU National Championships, and he won 2 Golden Glove National Championships. And he finished his amateur career 100 wins and 5 losses. And then you see him down here and up on the pictures of here. He won the gold medal after the Rome Olympics, in the Rome Olympics in 1960. A year after that, he lost his medal. It was later replaced at the 96 Olympics. But there was some talk about he got angry because he went to a restaurant afterwards and then he threw it in the river. Friends have said he just lost it sometime after that. So make of that what you will. But as he, was going through school, his boxing skills improved, but his schoolwork suffered. Now, Ali was dyslexic, so he had difficulties reading and writing. So he was a D student. He went to a segregated school, and he was 376 out of 391. He said he was not he was the greatest, not the smartest. That's what he said in his own words. But he wasn't that great as a student. All right. And so, as he turned pro, you see him. He's working out here with Archie Moore. So that's who he started off his training camp with. But they, say Archie Moore, Muhammad Ali exited that because he didn't want to do chores like dishes and sweeping and cleaning up. And he was more about charm and grace versus in his personality as opposed to his ring skills early on. But he did replace him, Archie Moore, with the legendary Angelo Dundee, and that was in 1960. His previous boxing person that really admired was Sugar Ray Robinson, and so he turned Ali down for that, and so he did get Angelo Dundee to be his trainer, and he was with him for the duration of his career. So professional debut, he began his professional career in Louisville under the group called the Louisville Sponsoring Group. And it was a syndicate of 11 wealthy white men. All right. So he made his debut against Tony Hansacker that you see here in the picture. And he won in the sixth round decision. But from then on until 1963, Clay, because I'm calling him Clay because that's what his name was at the time. He was 19-0, had 15 knockouts. He got knocked down because a couple of times he both by Sonny Banks and then by Henry Cooper. And then in between that, he did beat his former trainer and veteran Archie Moore. So March 12, 1963 at the Garden, he had a fight against Henry Jones. He was staggered. He was, staggered in the first round, but he went on to win by unanimous decision. Now, he was on enemy territory in a sense that Jones was from New York, so that was his hometown. So the people booed and threw debris on it. But what you see here is a gentleman, Sonny Liston, who was the reigning heavyweight champ at the time. He was ringside, and he said if he was unimpressed by Clay's win at the time, and stated if he fought me, I would be locked up for murder. That's what he said. So let's get it in. They actually scheduled a bout for February 25th, 1964. And you can see over here in the corner of the tape, Ali had him by a couple inches, 6'3" to 6'1", but Liston outweighed him. And so, Ali, little background on Liston is he had mob ties. He had, been arrested for criminal things, going to jail for a little bit as well too. And as a result of him being bigger, them not liking Clay's talking and whatnot, Liston was 8-1 favorite over Ali. All right. And so Clay would call him a bear. He said he's going to do all this and do that. And so he just was really taunting Sonny Liston. And in the weigh-in, his pulse was racing. They said it was at 120. And some people said, oh, well, it's because he was scared and he was doing this out of fear and all these type of things. But let's go to the fight. Liston was giving Ali some shots early on, but in the third round, Liston was cut, and he hit him with some hard shots that made his knees buckle after Liston had did a little bit of damage in the first round. In the fourth round, and this is something controversial because some other people had experienced this with Liston before, but he had a burning sensation in his eyes, and he said, "I can't see." He asked his trainer Angelo Dundee, to cut the gloves off. Angelo refused. He said, "Just go out there and be elusive." And so Clay went through the fifth round. He used sweat and tears, and that rinse out the irritation in his eye. He was able to see again. Now, this is something some people had say Liston had done before in other fights, putting a substance on his gloves. But Ali came back and dominated the Liston in the sixth round, and Liston did not answer the bell for the seventh round. So that's when you hear the famous "I shook up the world," because as you see Ali there celebrating, and you see him pointing at the beginning, telling him what he was going to do. So uh, he, as you say, he shook up the world. He told him, "Eat your words. I'm the greatest alive. I'm the prettiest thing that you ever seen." And you know, he just went in about how he beat Liston. Right? He said Liston had an open eye, a big eye, and Liston claimed he had a shoulder injury as well too. But you see him with great legendary Joe Louis, and he stated, talking about Liston's injury, he said a left arm thrown out of socket, and Clay said, "Who wouldn't swinging at nothing that would do that?" But at the time, he became the youngest person to take the title. Uh, of heavyweight champion, and he was also too. He changed his name to Cassius X because he was being part of the, as they call it, the Black Muslims or the Nation of Islam. So in 1959, when he was at a Golden Gloves tournament in Chicago, that's when he attended his first Nation of Islam meeting. All right, and then in 1961. Um, he had heard of him in 1959. He attended his first meeting in 1961, but he kind of kept that hidden from the public. 62, shortly after, he met Malcolm X, as you see him here together. He became his spiritual and political mentor. And even in his first fight against Liston, Malcolm X and some of the other Nation of Islam, I put NOI for short, they were there at the fight. And I remember years back, I was reading the autobiography of Malcolm X, and he was talking about Clay at the time. He said, I'm not a betting man, but I think this young man will be the heavyweight champion. And he'll be a great fighter. So that's what Malcolm said at the time. Initially, the Nation of Islam didn't want to let him join because of his boxing career, but his father said he had been affiliated with them as the Black Muslim since he was 18 years old. All right, so I tied this slide. My name is Muhammad Ali. Interesting thing here is because shortly after he won the title, um, he became more open about his affiliation with the Nation of Islam publicly. All right, Elijah Muhammad gave him the name Muhammad Ali. Muhammad meaning one who is worthy of praise, and then Ali, most high. And it's interesting. You see here, he signed both his names on the paper. He signed Muhammad Ali, and then right above it, he put slave named Cassius Clay Jr. So Muhammad, he moved to Chicago. He stayed in serious houses near the mosque, as well as close by Elijah Muhammad. He did that for 12 years. His son Herbert was his longtime manager. A lot of people did not want to call him Muhammad Ali, but you see here at the top, that's him and Howard Cosell. And Cosell was one of the few journalists at the time who called him Muhammad Ali because that's what he wanted to be called. But Ali stated, "I said, I'm American. I'm part you won't recognize, but you get used to me. Black, confident, cockney. My name, not yours. My religion, not yours. My goal, my own. Get used to me." And so, shortly after he joined the Nation of Islam, that's the time that Malcolm X was exiled, or the relationship severed with the Nation of Islam. Ali chose the nation over Malcolm, and so one of the things he regrets in his life is that he turned his back on Malcolm X at the time. All right, so right after that, Ali Liston 2. It was scheduled for December 1964, but it was postponed because Ali had hernia surgery 3 days before. But the fight did take place on May 25th. And even though he had changed his name, it still has it listed as Clay Liston on the box key. And it was at Boston Garden. So the fight lasted less than 2 minutes. Ali knocked Liston down. Some people say it was a phantom punch, or they showed replays. It was actually a punch that did connect. But was it as powerful as they thought it should have been? Who knows? But Liston was down for 20 seconds. The referee Jersey Joe Walcott, he didn't start counting because Ali didn't go to his neutral corner, and so he started counting. It was 20 seconds, and Liston got up and they continued fighting, but then they stopped the fight and declared Ali the winner because the timekeepers had messaged him about that. But there are some people who say Liston took a dive because again he had mob ties. He may have had his life threatened by the Nation of Islam. He had bets and debt to pay off. Whatever the case was, Ali won the second fight. So after that, not too long, because again, he had so many different fights. I'm going to go through some of the highlights. He met with former heavyweight champion Floyd Patterson. And, Ali in his style, he was mocking Patterson. And this is interesting right here. This ticket had Ali as well as Cassius Clay on the ticket. Imagine being able to sit ringside for $100. I know there was a lot more back then, but that's still a good, that's what it costs. So Ali dominated the fight, but he felt like Patterson injured himself, so he didn't finish him. He just kind of went through the process. But some people say they were really friends. They just used the conflict to generate ticket sales. But Cosell said Ali took it easy after he found out Patterson was injured. They did fight a few years later in 1972, about 7 years later. Uh, it was stopped due to cuts, but they say Ali gave him a title shot or a fight just because he wanted to help Patterson pay off his IRS debt. Interesting that I discovered too, Ali created his own promotions company, Main Bout Promotions. It handled his boxing promotion as well as his pay-per-view on closed circuit broadcast. Now you may not recognize this gentleman with the glasses up here right behind Ali, but that is none other than Bob Arum. You may know him. He's a promoter now. Used to be affiliated with Floyd Mayweather and some other individuals, but that is him there. And also two members of the Nation of Islam. They were stakeholders in that, and that's why you see Ali there with the Fruit of Islam as well, and some of the other Nation of Islam people. So the great fight, the What's My Name fight. Ernie Terrell, they were scheduled to fight in the Astrodome. They were initially supposed to fight in Chicago, but he couldn't get licensed, and so during that time, Ali was classified from 1A to 1Y. 1A means you're unfit to serve in the military because again, Ali failed the test due to his dyslexia. 1Y means you can serve in emergency situations. And during this reclassification time, this is when Ali said the famous words, "I don't have a quarrel with Viet Cong. A Viet Cong never called me the N-word." So Illinois, they refused to sanction the fight. They said it was on technicalities. So Ali had to go out of the country. He fought in Europe as well as Canada. But on February 6, 1967, he fought Ernie Terrell. And so Terrell had repeatedly called him Clay. Ali didn't want to knock him out. He said that was too good for him. And so it was a 15-round unanimous decision. He just punished him the entire fight. Also, too, during that time, the WBA, one of the boxing commissions, because of Ali joined the Nation of Islam, they stripped him of his title, and then because of some of his draft beliefs and conversations about the Vietnam War, some of the other boxing councils did strip him of the title as well. So March 22nd, after the title events against Zora Foley, he was informed that he was stripped of his title and refused draft service. So the New York boxing license was suspended. A lot of other states suspended his boxing license as well too. As I stated, he was reclassified 1A to 1Y. But he said, I have subpar skills because of his dyslexia. He had trouble with spelling and writing. And so shortly thereafter, April 28th, 1967, he refused induction by not stepping forward. And the officer warned him that he was possibly committing a felony. And so what you see down here is some of the famous black athletes at the time. To Ali's left, you see Bill Russell. To his right, you see Jim Brown. You also see Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They got together and had the Cleveland Summit And because the thing was, they wanted to see how serious Ali was about his beliefs and convictions, and whether or not they should support him. They had the conversation with Ali, so they did decide to support him. But shortly thereafter, Ali was convicted in 21 minutes of draft evasion. He was sentenced to 5 years and a $10,000 fine. He was on bond during the time of the appeal. So Ali, he took maybe 2.5, 3 years off of boxing, not because he wanted to, but because he couldn't license or sanction to fight. So during that time, he did a lot of public speaking, and as a result, as a lot of people in that time frame, they were against the they were against the war, and they were more so in favor of civil rights. So that helped Ali as the sentiment changed in his favor, and he would speak at HBU CUs. He spoke Black is Best speech for 4,000 students at Howard University, and then the Supreme Court overturned Ali's conviction. One of the reasons they did that because the appeals board, they gave no reason for a denial of the objector exemption for Ali. So it was 8-0. The person who did not vote was Thurgood Marshall, because he was part of the district that made the initial decision. So he recused himself in that measure, but it was 8-0 of all the sitting justices who did speak. All right. So, but his impact, it affected others. A lot. He was the most hated man in the country. He received a lot of death threats. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar even stated some of his teachers did not like Ali because he was what? Anti-establishment. And so, yes, that is Al Sharpton with him. He spoke about Ali's bravery, um, and he should be honored for his widespread support of his bravery. And then also, too, he received the MLK Award from Ralph Abernathy, and then you see him below with Coretta Scott King, King's widow. He's a champion of justice, peace, and unity. And one of the things that I said, Ali had to take some time off from boxing. And Angelo Dundee stated he robbed him of it. He was robbed of his prime years. And Bob Arum, his promoter at the time, was against it, of course, because that meant revenue loss. But he later admitted he was wrong and Ali was right, and he did what he believed was right. So also too, Ali was anti-American media, and they didn't like him because they felt like he was powerful enough. He could cause mass civil disobedience. But in the 60s, Ebony magazine saw Ali's popularity rise, especially among Black people. This is interesting. The feds is watching. So they had a program, code name Marinette. And you see, this is an FBI document on Muhammad Ali. And so Marinette, through the NSA, they monitor communication of a lot of Americans, including activists and people who criticize the war. So people like Ali, Martin Luther King, prominent U.S. senators, Frank Church and Howard Baker, and then other U.S. journalists. And so when they did a review of what the NSA had done, it said it was disreputable, if not right, illegal. And so during the Ali Frazier fight, there was the Citizens Commission to investigate the FBI. That was a big fight. That was called, I guess, the flight of the century. But they robbed the Pennsylvania police FBI office because they felt like the people would be too focused on the fight to do that. And that's where they discovered a lot of the illegal spying, some of the records they kept on Ali, and of course, the COINTEL program that we've heard so much about. So during this time, Ali, he wanted to settle a lawsuit with Mary Warner and some other individuals. He instead of the $1 million, he accepted 10,000, and they were going to do this fantasy computer generated super fight. And interesting enough, like now people watch fights from the comfort of their home or their device. But back then, people would go to the theater to watch fights. So I guess the theater became what we had to do it. So in 1969, they filmed 75 1 minute rounds, and they had different outcomes. And so they quote unquote use a computer to determine the outcome based on data about fights, as well as 250 boxing experts. They put it in the movie in theaters, as I said. In the U.S. version, Marciano won by a 13 round knockout. In the European version, Ali won by defeating Marciano because I guess he had cuts and he couldn't continue to fight. Both were assimilated, but Ali believed prejudice caused the defeat and joked that the computer was made in Alabama. So this is something interesting as well too. You have these black politicians in Atlanta, and so they use their political weight to get Atlanta to grant Ali a boxing license. So in 1970, because they started this in August of 1970, so you see these gentlemen here. You see Muhammad Ali and the late Mayor Maynard Jackson. That's who they named the airport in Atlanta from, and so you see them there, and so they set up the fight. So in October, he defeated Jerry Quarry after 3 rounds um, due to cuts. And then also, too, a federal court forced the New York State to reinstate Ali's boxing license. And so in December 1970, he fought Oscar Bonavena in the Madison Square Garden, winning by TKO, making Ali again the top contender. So Ali at the time was 31-0. Both him and Frazier were undefeated champions. And so Ali, he began training at a farm in near Reading, PA, because he liked the country setting. And he eventually established Deer Lake, PA as his training camp, where he trained for all of his fights from 1970 to his retirement in 1981. And so Frazier called Ali dumb. Frazier called Ali clay. Ali called Frazier dumb, a tool of white establishment, all types of names going back and forth. But the fight was scheduled for March 8th at Madison Square Garden. So this is Ali Frazier 1. And it was billed as the fight of the century because you had two undefeated heavyweights with a claim to the title. The bout was broadcast in 36 countries. They had 760 press passes. So this is unique in a sense that I know we're used to now where you can watch it from your cell phone, but back then it took a little bit more to get these types of broadcasts done. So the fight was even in the early rounds, but Ali began to take more punishment. Obviously, his time off and Frazier's skill that caused Ali to take a lot of punishment. He was using the rope a dope tactics that he would later use. Is the first time he used it because he wanted to tire Frazier out. Ali had, he was taunting and doing a lot of other things. So Frazier wobbled Ali with a light hook, a left hook, excuse me. But he thought Ali was playing and faking, so he didn't take advantage of that. But in the 15th round, as you see right here, Ali was knocked down by Frazier's left hook. He connected, but Ali was up in 3 seconds. So this was the first fight that Ali lost, and it was by unanimous decision. So after the Frazier fight, he had a couple other fights with Jimmy Ellis, Quarry, Floyd Patterson, and he won 6 in a row. And so he also had a couple bouts in 1973 with Joe Bugner and Ken Norton. Yes, that's the father of Cowboys legend and great player Ken Norton Jr. But he got this People Choice Award, People Choice robe that he got from Elvis, as you see him there. In the first fight, Norton, broke his jaw, and that was the second time Ali lost in his career. And then in the rematch, Ali won that fight. It has a bit of controversy as well too, but Ali did end up winning that fight. So I like this one. Down goes Frazier. So in the meantime, between that, um, Frazier had lost his title to George Foreman. And so that's when you hear the famous Howard Cosell saying, "Down goes Frazier." That's where that comes from. And so January 28th, 1974, Ali and Frazier fight. Ali was strong in the early rounds, staggering Frazier in the second. Frazier came on strong toward the middle of the rounds. But one thing Ali did, he learned his lesson. He avoided Frazier's left hook, and he won by unanimous decision. And one of the reasons that particular punch was a challenge for Ali is because he had a low stance. He kept his hands low and worked and focused on movement. And so that's why he got caught a couple of times, not just by Frazier, but in some other fights. But what does this set up? It sets up the Rumble in the Jungle. Now, this was scheduled in Kinshasa, Zaire. Big fight. They had great concert as well too. So you see James Brown with the ladies. Also too, you see James Brown with Muhammad Ali and Don King. And so the fight was delayed because George Foreman had injury. He got cut, but they eventually had it on October 29th. You'll see on the flyer here it says rescheduled from September. Foreman had beaten Frazier as well as Norton with second round knockouts. And so those are two guys that Ali had lost to this point in his career. But Ali was a 4-1 underdog. So this is when he used his rope a dope tactic to tire Foreman out. And Foreman, he was hitting him with everything he had, and he would hit him hard. And Ali would say, "Is that all you got?" And it just really tired him out. Now he eventually knocked him out in the seventh round, as you see here, Foreman falling. But interesting enough, Ali was ahead on all three scorecards. You can see here 68, 66, 70, 67, and 69, 66 to that point. And then additionally, this is probably the most watched fight. They had a billion, viewers worldwide, which is interesting because around that time there was alleged population of 4 billion people. So that means 25% of the world watched this fight. And so from the venue, which would be theaters, where again that's where you had to go to watch the fights, that was 300 million in revenue, and then adjusted for inflation, and then 620 in revenue adjusted for inflation on pay-per-view. So that was the most live watched broadcast at the time. And what happened after that? So after that, George Foreman took 18 months off between fights. There was no rematch. He got into religion and some other things. So he just kind of disappeared. He had a couple uneventful fights. So he disappeared from boxing for quite some time. But he fought Chuck Wepner, Ron Lyle, and Joe Bugner. And Wepner was called the Bayon Bleeder. And he knocked Ali down in the ninth round. And so Ali was like, "Oh, he stepped on my foot," as you see right here, tripping. He tripped, but Sylvester Stallone was at the fight, and that inspired him to create Rocky. He said Ali was his Apollo Creed. All right. So after that, Thriller in Manila. All right. So this was October 1st, 1975, Manila, Philippines. Hot, hot, hot. It was 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 degrees Celsius. So very warm out there. Ali was aggressive in the early rounds. He was exchanging punches. He tried the rope a dope as well and took punishment from Frazier. But 12th round, as Frazier tired, Ali's punches were connected, and you see how his eye looks as a result of that. In the fourth round, Frazier did not answer the call of the bell for the 15th round, so Ali was victorious again. But Ali was like, "This is the closest I've seen to dying," and he was contemplating retirement at that time. He said, "I'm sore all over, my arms, my face, my sides all ache. I'm so tired. This is a great possibility that I may retire. You might have seen the last of me. I want to sit back, count money, live in my house, on my farm, work for my people, and concentrate on family." And at the time, he called Frazier the greatest fighter all time next to him. So after that, he had some, later in his career, he had a couple controversial fights. He fought Jimmy Young and won by a unanimous decision. And Cosell, as you see down here, he was saying, he don't look like himself. His timing was off. He then went on to fight Ken Norton. He said, "I was preserving my energy to fight Norton." They fought again at Yankee Stadium. He won by controversial decision as well. And he was going to retire. He had fallen out with the Nation of Islam the previous year. So after that, 1977, he fought Ernie Shavers. Some people say between him, George Foreman, and Mike Tyson, Ernie Shavers was, probably the hardest hitter of all of them. He looked bad in the fight. And Freddie Pacheco, that's him with Ali at the ring. He wanted Ali to retire. He said he got a note or a report from the New York Athletic Commission that Ali's kidneys were falling apart. And so he wrote Ali, he wrote his wife, he wrote Angelo. He didn't get any responses, so he quit. And then even you see right here, Sylvester Stallone, he's a bit dejected because he saw Ali really falling off at that time. and it could be attributed to a couple of things. This happened. Ali had a few exhibition fights. One most notable in June 26th of 1976. So this was interesting. He had an exhibition fight during the middle of his boxing career. He fought a Japanese wrestler and kickboxer, um, uh, Antonio Inoki. And you see right here, Inoki was kicking Ali to the legs. He developed blood clots in his legs, and they were saying they might have to amputate his legs. And so one of the results of this particular fight is Ali was never had the same footwork after that. He didn't have the mobility that he had, but he did have some other exhibition fights. Excuse me. See him fighting Richard Pryor, which Richard Pryor has done a comedy skit about as well too. So end of the era, 1978, he lost to Leon Spinks. He was visibly out of shape. But and then later on that year, he won a rematch in the Superdome, as you see from that particular poster right here. I really like some of these old school posters here. Um, he announced that he was going to retire, but he came back to fight his former sparring partner, excuse me, Larry Holmes, because he wanted to win the title for the fourth time. But Holmes didn't want to fight him. He knew Ali had nothing left, and the fight was stopped in the 10th round. Ali was given painkillers. This is the look he has with Bundini talking to him, and it was a violation of WBC rules because it wasn't supposed to happen until they did the post-fight urinalysis. But Ali fought one more time. You see him, Trevor Berbick. Well, that's him and Leon Speaks, but he fought Trevor Berbick, drama in the Bahama, and he lost in the 10th round decision, which was his final fight. So let's talk about his personal life. Ali did, in fact, love the ladies. He was married 4 times, had 7 daughters and 2 sons. This is him with his first wife, Sanji Roy. They met she worked for Herbert Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad's son. She was a cocktail racist, and Ali asked her to marry him after the first date. So a month after they met, they were married April 14th, 1964. But one of the things, Sanji was not a member of the Nation of Islam, so she had issues with some of the dressing and clothing standards that they imposed on her or they expected of her, and that is what caused them to divorce. And Ali said, "Sanji, you traded heaven for hell, baby." That's code word for, I guess he said, you traded heaven for the streets. But his brother said he never got over that, as the Nation of Islam made them divorce, and he never got over that. After that, he married Belinda Boyd. You see them there. You see them with their children as well. Boyd says they met when she was 10. She was working at her hometown mosque, and Ali had said to her, "Listen, little girl, this is my name. I'm gonna be famous. You keep that." I guess he wrote it down for her because it's gonna be worth a lot of money. And she said, "You'll never be famous with a name like that." And she walked away. But in 1967, Ali married Belinda Boyd, who was 17 at the time. She changed her name to Kalia Ali. They had 4 children: Miriam, Jamila, Rashida, and Muhammad Ali Jr. But Ali, again, he loved the ladies, so he had some extramarital affairs. Now, the one thing is, Belinda, she knew about these, or Kalia, and so he had an extramarital affair with Wanda Bolton, and she had a daughter, but she changed her name to Aisha Ali, and they were married in an Islamic ceremony. They never had a regular ceremony, but they were married in an Islamic ceremony. But according to her mother, and they lived with Belinda and the other children at Ali's Deer Lake training camp, and he had a daughter, Maya, from an extramarital relationship as well too. So Belinda, she knew of Ali's ways with other women. She would set them up. She would book rooms for him. She would also stay away till he could do what it is that he did. So she was okay with him doing that. But then here comes Veronica Porsche, and so Ali was, they were somewhere. I want to say, I can't remember the fight they were at, but Belinda and Veronica were there. They were actually laughing side by side, and so Belinda left. Ali went to train for the Thriller in Manila in the Philippines. He took Veronica with him. There was a newspaper article of him meeting with, I guess, one of the leaders from the Philippines, and they said, "Oh, is this your wife?" And he said, "No, this is not my wife." But Belinda saw that. I guess she felt that um, she was disrespected by that, so she came in, had a word with him, and then left. And so Belinda divorced him. He married Veronica Porsche, as you see here. You see him with the two young ladies. That is Hannah, as well as Layla Ali, the boxer as well. But she divorced Ali as well too. I guess she got tired of the infidelities as well. She said it was too much of a temptation for him. You know, women would throw themselves at him. He did. It didn't mean anything. He didn't have affairs. He had one night stands, and she believed beyond a doubt there was no feeling involved. It was obvious. It was so it made it easy for him to forgive her. So Ali married his fourth wife, Yolanda Williams. They actually met when her family moved to Louisville at the age of 6 in 1982. She became Ali's primary caregiver, and in return, he paid for her grad school at UCLA. November 9th, 1986, they were married, and they adopted a son, Asad Amin, at 5 years old, and they were married until the time of his passing. So in 92, she incorporated the Greatest of All Time Inc. Just to manage all his intellectual properties. She serves as VP and treasurer of that until they were sold in 2006. Again, this is Ali with his family and children. He did have some paternity claims. Some women were saying he was the father of their children, but one girl, she kind of that was never substantiated as well too. All right, but so Ali, he eventually fell out with the Nation of Islam, and he converted to Sunniism because the Nation of Islam was militant, and they did not want to work with other people of other religions and colors. But Ali believed they were good Christians and Jews, and they could receive God's blessing of entering heaven. God created all people, no matter what their religion is. Similar to Malcolm X in 1972, he went to Mecca on the Hajj, and he had discovered that there were people of different races, as well as countries and nationalities who and colors who also followed the religion of Islam. But he stated after he retired that he was going to get ready to meet God by helping people, charitable causes, and united people in helping to make peace. He went again on a Hajj in 1988. After the September 11 attacks on the U.S., he stated Islam is a legend Islam is a religion of peace. So it does not promote terrorism or killing people. He said that true Muslims know the ruthlessness of violence. So-called Islamic jihadists go against the very tenets of our religion. Another thing I want to touch on too, as well as it relates to Ali and him not wanting to be go into the draft. One of his religious beliefs were I won't go and initiate aggression and violence. But he also stated if I felt like the United States was in danger and they came here and attacked, he would have served in the military as well too. So he's more so about self-defense, not going out being aggression. And so he got into Sufism, which is a study in Islam that focused on purification, spirituality, ritualism, and asceticism. But he had an acting career as well too. He had a cameo role in the 1962 film Requiem of a Heavyweight. He performed on Broadway while in exile for a play called Buck White. He did a Black Rodeo documentary. In that, he rode a horse and a bull, and also too, he had his own movie called The Greatest, where he starred as himself. But then he was featured in the movie Freedom Road, and his character was Gideon Jackson. So you see that him there. He was known for his spoken word. He had an album, sold 500,000 copies. He received a Grammy nomination for the best country album. They said he was like the precursor for hip hop. He recorded a version of the R&B song "Stand by Me," as you see right here, and then also too he had a book, album, "Fighting Tooth Decay," that also received a Grammy nomination for the best recording for children. Wrestling, you see him there with the Nature Boy Ric Flair. He was a guest for WrestleMania. They also did a wrestling diplomatic event with Inoki, the kickboxer who Ali had previously had an exhibition with, as well as Ric Flair, and you see him there. He's cut off a little bit with Hulk Hogan and Mr. T. And he is actually in the WWF Hall of Fame, the Wrestling Hall of Fame, as of 2024. TV, there's an episode TV show called Parkinson's. No relation to disease. It was just Michael Parkinson. That's him up at the top left. I mean, top right. You see him doing the torch. Then in the Olympics, he was on an episode of Different Strokes, Arnold's Hero, and then he did the September 11th tribute to heroes as well too. He does have a Walk of Fame star, and it's not on the ground; it's on the wall. He said, "I don't want people walking and stepping on me," so that's why he has that. But also too, he was an artist. You see some of these or some of his drawings, some political in nature, some just artistic. Some of his drawings were recently auctioned in 2021, and it sold for close to $1 million. The person, Rodney Hilton Brown, who was the owner of an art gallery, who asked Ali to create these works, he wrote a book, Muhammad Ali, Untold Story, Painter, Poet, and Prophet. And so, Ali, for the most part, he kept a healthy lifestyle. There are some things that said he liked to have sweets, but he avoided smoking, drugs, alcohol, soda, and had an idiosyncratic diet. He had some cooks from the Nation of Islam who were there to cook meals for him for the Islamic dietary restrictions. But he was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 1984. They say he took over 200,000 hits, which is a lot. But he was still active in his early life, still active in life all the way into the 2000s. So in '98, he was doing some work with Michael J. Fox, the actor who also has Parkinson's. He did do some sessions in Congress to bring awareness. But December 14th, he had a couple of health scares. He was hospitalized with mild pneumonia. He was hospitalized with a UTI in 2015. But on June 2nd, 2016, he had went into hospitalized for a respiratory illness. But they perceived he was in fair condition, but it got worse. And the next day, Ali passed from septic shock on June 3rd, 2016. But there was a lot of people who tributed to him as well. You see him with Mike Tyson, who had a lot of respect for him. You also see him with Donald Trump, Jesse Jackson, and Don King. You see him with Barack Obama, Tiger Woods. All these different individuals um, did various tributes to him, as well as the mayor of Louisville. His memorial, Ali had planned his death like years before it happened. I remember he was saying he got just a basic Islamic covering, not something of royalty. He wanted to be basic and humble. He began his funeral with the Islamic prayer. And then you see Bill Clinton did a eulogy along with Brian Gumbel and Billy Crystal. You see the casket here with the Islamic covering. And then he had various pallbearers, including Mike Tyson and Will Smith. But on his headstone, he said, "Service to others is the rent you pay for room into heaven." But then also too on the actual groundstone, he said he took a few cups of love. He took 1 tablespoon of patience, 1 teaspoon of generosity, 1 pint of kindness. He took 1 quart of laughter, 1 pinch of concern, and then he mixed willingness with happiness. He added lots of faith, and he stirred it all up, and then he spread it all over a lifespan. So that is what is on his stone right there. But his funeral procession went through the city of Louisville because he wanted everyone to have an opportunity to pay respects for what his life in the manner that they chose. And his memorial again was watched by over 1 billion people worldwide. But let's talk about legacy. I mean, he was a 3-time lineal champion, only person to do that. He was the Ring Fighter of the Year 6 times. One was involved in more Ring Fight of the Years. That's the magazine bouts than any other person. One of the 3 boxers named Sportsman of the Year, BBC Overseas Sports Personality 3 times. He's inducted into International Boxing Hall of Fame. in the first year that it opened, and he also had 7 wins over other Hall of Fame inductees. And so he had a very, very successful boxing career. Hip hop, rappers consider him the first precursor of rap because he would rap or do poetry as his parts of his fight. And so that played a role in the Last Poets, Jill Scott Heron, and rap music of the 70s. There was a ESPN documentary, Ali Rap, which was hosted by a rapper Chuck D, Dougie Fresh. Ludacris spoke on his behalf. And then some other rappers like LL Cool J, Chuck D, Jay-Z, Eminem, and Nas, MC Light, those individuals, Slick Rick and Sean Combs, they listed Ali as his inspiration. So in his hometown, they titled him Sportsman of the Year in 1978. They have some street signs, as you see there, Muhammad Ali Boulevard, and in the first week they stole 12 of them. You see they created the Ali Center, a 93,000 nonprofit center right by the river in Kentucky. It's in Louisville, and it has a lot of his boxing memorabilia, a lot of stories. But some of the core things are peace, social responsibility, respect, and personal growth. I actually went there last year when I was at the Kentucky Derby, and it is heavy on that, but also to a great emphasis on some of the women in sports, not just here in America, but abroad, but just giving people opportunities as well. And then so they renamed the airport Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. That is a logo there. And so I actually got to see that when I was visiting. But he influenced a lot of people. Bruce Lee admired him for his footwork. There's a mall called the Ali Mall in the Philippines. I don't know how far that is from Manila, but they began building that right after the Thriller in Manila. And then he received a UN award as well, too. But in the U.S., I mean, he won the Arthur Ashe Courage Award. He's got medals from Bill Clinton as well as George Bush. They had the Muhammad Ali Boxing Reform Act just to help with boxing safety, and they wanted to put that on for MMA fights as well too. He's got awards named after him. So many different things that just too many to list. But also too, this year they're going to have an Ali musical based on his life. That's going to be in spring 2025. I don't know if that's going to be just on Broadway. I think it may start there, may tour, but that is definitely something I would be interested in seeing. So definitely check that out. Very much into philanthropy. They said he fed over 22 million people worldwide. He did a lot of donations to a lot of different causes, including HBCUs, and he even paid for them to watch his fights as well too. But he wanted to focus on practicing the Islamic duty of charity, good deeds, and supported various organizations and disadvantaged people of all religions. Humanitarianism, he did a lot of different things around the world. One of the things you see here, you see him with children of other places, world leaders. One of the interesting stories is him, as you see there, he talked a man from jumping off a ledge and suicide. He just so happened to be in the area. And so he went to aid, and the man did not end up jumping. Um, he did rallies for Palestine, uh, did things for in Sudan to raise awareness for famine victims, did things for Indian charities for Muslim education. And then, as you see right here, he lit the flame in the Atlanta Olympics. He did also to participate in the London Olympics. And one thing that's interesting, in 1987, he met an alternative lifestyle female couple. He said they're smiling. He smiled and said, "Hey, they look like they're happy together." So he was a supporter of a lot of people, regardless of their race, their gender, their orientation. He did get to visit the Ireland, the homeland of his great grandfather. But he did do some political things. He supported Ronald Reagan because he said, he's keeping God in school, and that's enough for him. He did. That's him right there. Yes, that is him with Saddam Hussein. He went with him he met with him in 1990 prior to the Gulf War. He was part of the Tournament of Roses for the U.S. Constitution. And then also, too, he campaigned the government to aid awareness for the genocide that was going on in Rwanda. So throughout his career, inflation adjusted, he earned about 338 million. He lost a lot of it because in 1978 it was revealed that he had 3.5 million inflation adjusted. That was 16 adjusted from the 70, but he had to give him money away to taxes. Also, to charity, his lifestyle, and supporting friends and family. So he sold his name and image for 50 million in 2006. We talked about earlier, but he had a net worth of 55 million, and then when he died, he had a net worth of 50 to 80 million. But let's talk about the ABCDs of Image. Ali was always well dressed, despite him being talkative, flamboyant. The close you see right here, he's got a mink coat, but he was always clean cut and hung out with other clean cut professional people. That's him with Coretta Scott and Harry Belafonte. And then, his behavior, he practiced what he preached. He trained hard, even though he didn't like it. He had causes that he believed in. So you see him here with Martin Luther King. You see him with Nelson Mandela. He did like the ladies, as you see here. So that's him with some ladies. And then also to him with children of various backgrounds, supporting them. And of course, he put in work in the boxing. And so, from a communication standpoint, he just was his authentic self. He had a lot of great quotes. You see him and Howard Cosell. He float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. All these different sayings as well too. So he was very public about what he believed, what he thought, and he was in congruence on that as well. So add all that up. That is definitely a recipe for greatness. So thank you for tuning in to this portion of the stream. This is the case study. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I am Eric Hall, your success concierge, providing you the vision, tools, and opportunity for your desired success. And thank you for tuning in to the case study, recipe for greatness, the case study on Muhammad Ali. All right, that was a lot there. I've been wanting to do that for quite some time. After I had gone to the Muhammad Ali Museum, I want to do that do that particular thing. But as you know, it was long, and so it was very much something that we had to. I wanted to do it justice as well, and I want to make sure that I was thorough as well as accurate. I know we're a little bit over time. We're going to see if we have some questions here that are relevant, and we'll get to a couple of them. I did put the link in the chat here. In case people have questions as well, so we can get into a few of those while we do that. All right, so let's see what we got here. Y'all typically ask some good questions, and we'll get into a couple of them here. And let's see here, this right here. All right. So with all the government layoffs, how would you assist them? So here's the thing, like with anybody else with career, you have soft skills, you have transferable skills. So a lot of them, they may have been in jobs for a long time, they may have been in jobs for a short time, but either way, in the private sector, we have to deal with this all the time. So I'll work with them on, what are some of their next moves, what they want to do, what soft skills do they have, and what value do they have to bring to the market, and how can we enhance that and add that. So some of them been working from home, so they may have to work on their image, their clothes, all these type of things. So I just create a comprehensive package for them, so that we can help them get on to their next phase of their life, whether that be a new career or in the private sector, excuse me, the the private sector, whether that be their own entrepreneurial business, or whether that be retirement, because it could be any of those type of things. So that's what I got there. Let's see if we have any other relevant questions. Let's see. Okay. What are your thoughts on Gene Hackman and his wife? Oh, shout out to that particular family there. Gene Hackman, great actor. He passed away. I want to say it was yesterday or a couple of days ago. They said it was no foul play, but Gene Hackman was 95. I think his wife was in her 60s, but they were both found dead. So, he's a great actor. But I don't know what's been going on with that, but we'll get more information as that becomes available. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see here. All right, with the Epstein list coming out, what's your perspective on the image consultant? I did get notification that part of it has come out today. I don't know who's on it, what's listed, but again, I don't know what information is out there. And so it could be someone who was heavily involved. It could be someone who was minorly involved. And I definitely don't know what it is that they may or may have been alleged to have done. So I can't really comment and speculate on that without seeing the information. But um, this has been prevalent for a while, right? They've been announcing that these type of things and information was going to come out. So if you should have been the people, if they potentially could or could not be involved, they should have been proactive as it relates to that, so they can kind of get ahead of that and see. But without me having all the information going on, I don't know what to say regarding that. But definitely, if I knew someone or I had a client of mine, I would try to get in front of it, and depending, it may require some punishment as well too if they were involved in something that was unsavory as well too. So just helping them manage through that particular process from the beginning to the end. But that's how I would handle that based on the information that I have on that. Let's see if we got any more relevant questions to what we have going on here, because we did go a little bit long. I usually try to keep it um, for an hour, but we did do a little bit more on that. Let's see if we have anything else. Oh, this one last question right here. Did you see here about Joy Reid? Yes, I did. And so Joy Reid, no different than the individuals who were government official or different, or any other person that, for that matter, who got laid off. That is part of life. So um, sometimes you have to take a step back to see what it is that you want to do, and what you bring and relevant to the market. Who's your audience? What do you want to do going forward? So Joy has some people. She has maybe a niche market. I don't know if that market will be profitable or whatnot, but she's got to figure out what she wants to do and who she wants to market or cater to. It may be a large audience, it may be a small audience, it may be a non-existent audience, but she's going to have to make the decision on that and see what it is that she wants to do going forward. But she she was someone who was very vocal, and then she uh, got humbled, so to speak, and that's why she may or may have been in tears. But that is part of life. So you've cried. Now you got to dust yourself off and figure out what it is that you want to do, or how you want to manage the rest of your life. And she may have to, do a mea culpa. She may have to reinvent herself, or she may have to do something for a small target niche audience. As I said, mainstream media is propped up just because they have a strong advertising voice. They have strong reach, but independence, like we are over here, you have to have challenge. You have to create fan base. You have to create all those things. So if she's going to go that route, then she definitely has to put in some work in that particular space. Let's see what else we got in the chat here. I know we kind of went long, and that's not something that I like to do. Um, been a long week as well too, as we're coming up on the end of that. But definitely appreciate everyone. Okay, let's see. We got a couple other things. These are a couple good questions as well too. Let's see here. All right, this is a good question right here. How would you assist a manager company? How would you assist a manager company battling with the DEI landscape? So here's the thing, right? DEI in and of itself, because I've done research on this, it's been around a long time. Now, there was a big push after what happened with George Floyd, and the thing is this, right? If you're a company or organization, I always feel like the best person for the job should definitely get that. And if you want to say, well, we're committed to making investments in these communities to help with that, I'm okay with that. Or if you're saying, hey, we're going to pull back from some of that, I'm okay with that as well too. Because again, these are private businesses. They get to choose how they run their business, and they have to identify what the impact is going to be if they take one direction or another. That's what I would focus with them on. But the thing is, you want to be doing what's profitable for you, what makes good business sense, and what is ethical in your line of business as well too. But I'm always about being merit based, as well as picking up the best person, regardless of what they look like, where they're from, for the job. All right. Let's see here. This is probably okay. This is a good one right here. Let's see. I just saw it. Let me pull this up right here. All right, this is an interesting one, just based on the month we're in and some of the case studies we've done. Do you think the blackout boycotts will be effective? Why or why not? Personally, I don't think they'll be effective, and the reason being is I don't think it's well thought out of, and there's not a true comprehensive plan, and there was not involvement from all the parties. So, for example, when they did the bus boycott, they were prepared to do that for 300 plus days. They had a plan of action of, okay, these individuals are going to do this to help people get to work. We're going to do the business. There were subsequent businesses that were ideally listed and said they're going to do this. There are people volunteering and doing this right here. From what I see from the boycotts, it says, okay, don't buy this on this day, do that, but it doesn't say, okay, what are you going to do the next day? What are the alternatives or people that you want to deal with, and how are you going to support them? So it's I don't see it. It's not as well planned out as I think it could be, if that's something that they want to do and what they choose to do. But because there was a few talking heads and they got together with, or one particular person I saw was the originator. They came with this. I don't know who else collaborated with them on the planet. Just a lot of people shared it out. But that's just my perspective on that. And people have to be consistent, because again, you need a long-term plan to meet your needs, because it's about your livelihood, food, groceries, those type of things. So this should be not just rushed out, but a long-term plan as well too. And then there are businesses who of people who are from various backgrounds who you want to support, but they have not been listed of go here, do this, do that. So that's why I think it'll be a challenge. And then you have people on one side who want to boycott. You have people on the other side who want to boycott. So we'll see if I'm correct or incorrect on that. But let's see what else we got. See what else going on in the chat here. I know we kind of ran a little bit long, but hey, I definitely appreciate y'all for tuning in. Hopefully, you enjoyed this case study and what we've done this week. Thank you again. Salute, and we are out. Good night, everyone.